Talking about how we're going to break this barrier in diversity in healthcare, how we're going to shift the landscape in healthcare, how we're going to make massive change to what is occurring in healthcare so that way we can see more students of color in medical school, so we can see more students of color who are residents, and we can see more students of color who are physicians so that we can serve our diverse population better. And the first place we're going to start is we're going to outline the problem, right? And so before we can, I always want to walk through this systematically because I want you guys to get with me. I want you guys to walk with me along this path. I want you guys, today is about action. And so we have to understand how serious this is in that if we pay attention, and I could have grabbed the older graph, but I didn't. I thought let's just focus on the most recent, right? Because that's really what we're talking about. But if you go all the way back, what's amazing, you look at this chart right here on the bottom right. This is the ACG mean data on pipeline graduates from 2004 all the way to 2019. And what you can see, it's broken up by race and ethnicity. And what you can see there is that nothing is changing. The blocks are staying relatively the same. The big one there you can look at, right, is you look at black people there in green, it's 4.9, it's going to 5, 5, 5, 5, and then it drops down. And so we're making no substantial increase in the percentage of physicians who are of color going into medicine. If you take this same graph and you run it back to the 1960s when we first got civil rights, it's much the same appearance. And there's been very little difference for blacks, Latinos, Indians, Native Americans, right? There's been very little change in this graph. And so that's why we have to get on this. We have the massive action. And today is all about that action. So I'm going to break down what has been wrong with our pipeline interventions and how we can fix it right here for you guys today. So let's get into the intro and then we will get going.
But stop making excuses, stop whining, stop, right? Get at it. No excuses, just dominate.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Josh Sean. Your typos are kind of crazy. I'm doing well. How are you doing, Josh Sean? How's it going? Julian, what's up? What's up? What's up? Hello, everybody. If you are here, if you are ready to learn, like this video, comment, let me know you're here. Hottie, what up? We're talking about diversity in medicine, guys. And man, every single year, the whole start of this was that I was at a conference where these graduate medical educators were talking about the lack of diversity and how we could change it. And I feel like every year diversity is a principal issue of note for the American Medical Association, for all the medical student associations, for all the undergrad pre-med associations, for the world. There's always this talk in academia about how we need to focus on improving and increasing diversity. Yet while every year we're pushing and saying we need diversity, we're getting further and further away from diversity in our healthcare providers. And last year, if you guys remember, the Supreme Court passed a ruling that said affirmative action in higher education admissions was problematic. And so, of course, this year at our educational conference, these graduate medical educators were big talking about ways that programs could legally work around this ruling, but they talked about how bad this ruling was for current situations. And it's not necessarily the fact that affirmative action lets students who are not qualified in, but it's like all things. If you don't force people to see you, they don't see you. And what the consideration of cultural backgrounds, of making people be culturally competent and so forth in admissions, it goes a long way towards helping people increase diversity, understand the importance of diversity, and so it's a problem. With that all being said, our current pipeline interventions, like I said, there's millions of dollars spent every single year to increase diversity and opportunities in healthcare. There's major problems with that spend. Should we talk about it? Who guessed? But comment right now what you guys think is wrong with how we're trying to intervene and increase diversity. The first biggest problem that we're having with diversity and not increasing diversity is that there is not enough funding for it. It is very, very, very costly to do anything, guys, and money makes the world go round. And so there is not enough money being invested into diversity pools. And that money is not sustainable. People often operate on short-term grants. Oh, here's a 1 year, here's a 2 year, here's a 4-year grant to get this pipeline program up and going. And that's not a significant amount of time to get things going. You can't really accomplish, right? Look what a president can do in 4 years. He's got all the resources of the whole United States behind him. And it's very hard to accomplish major things in 4 years, let alone flip a system that's been upside down for 60 years. And so the first thing is that. And so because of that, all of these things fall. The first issue, or the second issue, I guess, of that, the corollary of that is late intervention. If you look at how we're targeting diversity in healthcare, we are targeting it and attacking it at the MCAT level, at the application level, at the late college level, trying to attack it in medical school. And like these graduate medical educators were saying, these residency programs were saying, listen, we're too far up the pipeline. We can't affect it here. We've got to get back to the source. And that's exactly the key, right? We've got to stop intervening so late in students' careers. Because as you guys know, if you've ever been through pre-med, right, for our medical students, or if you are a pre-med, you understand that many people are weeded out in the weed out classes. Well, all those students of color who are weeded out in the weed out classes never get an opportunity to participate in these pipeline programs, in these enrichment opportunities, because they're already out of the pipeline by the time you're trying to get in there. So the pipeline has already leaked before you actually get to them. So you're spending money on a small pot of people, and so you're not going to be able to move the overall needle of the number of people you're going into medical school. The second thing is that, like I said, these are limited duration, both in terms of how long the students are there, but then also how long their exposure is and the support is of that program. So for example, many of our intervention programs are summer outreach programs where students go for 2 to 6 weeks. And then after that 6 weeks, they're forced to fend for themselves again. And as we all know, right, it's like going to rehab, right? If someone has a drug problem, an alcohol problem, is their drug problem, alcohol problem a 2-week problem? Or do they need lifelong efforts to help them stay sober? And so if you have students who you say, these students don't have the resources, these students don't have the study skills, these students don't have the network, they don't have the resources, wouldn't it make sense then that 4 weeks with you giving them all these things, and if you take it away from them, are they not still the same students who don't have any of these resources when they go back home to their campuses? So without that long-term support, how can we be sure, and how can we put these students in a real position to change, to shift, to be prepared to go into medical school? The third thing is that we are very, 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 very focused on courses, and not on skill building. All of our outreach efforts target the MCAT, target teaching them biology, target teaching students chemistry, right? We're going to host a networking event. And we're going to have them network with these people. We're going to host a research symposium. But my question is when you supply those things in a short period, how does that prepare the student? It's like, right, teach a man to fish, right? And he'll eat forever. Give him fish and he eats for the day. And what I would argue is a lot of these programs are so focused on feeding the kids today, they forget these kids got to fish for themselves for the next 5, 10, 15 years. And so we need to shift from teaching kids chemistry, biology, hosting networking events, to actually teaching them skills that they can go on in their future and get at. The fourth thing, and this is a big, big problem, and it's going to be controversial. I understand that, because much of what I say is controversial because I'm always trying to disrupt what is the status quo. Because if you're here, if you are a student, you understand that much of what is your status quo, your normal operating procedures are not optimized. They're not working how they should be working for you. And so if we don't want to be that status quo, we've got to change. We've got to snap ourselves out of it. And I feel like that's my job, my duty here every single week, is to snap you out of whatever zombie mode you're in to get you to a place of liberation, a place where you can see truly what's going on and you can see how you can get to your goals. And so in education, this fourth problem is that we live with a mentality of, if I show them, I did my part. We live in a society where it's show, and there's no teach. We see it all the time. There's a lot of people on social media talking about promoting awareness of Black physicians, of Latino physicians. They see me, they can be me. They see me, they can be me. They see me, they can be me. And the sad reality and the sad truth is, seeing someone do something is not the same as being able to become that same person. I love going to Las Vegas and watching shows. I've been to many a Cirque du Soleil show, and I have seen them do incredible feats of acrobatic amazingness. But there is no way on this earth that myself could get up on the tightrope, that myself could flip some other lady. But I've seen it, but I can't be it. There's a disconnect. And so often, This is what happens, is that we stop at the look at me, I made it from where you are, so you can make it too. Look at me, I look like you can make it too. We look like each other. And I'm here to say emphatically, show me culture is not going to get it done. Show me culture will not move us forward. In fact, I believe that show me culture is actually holding us backwards. I believe show me culture is holding us back. Can I articulate my argument in two forms? The first way that this show me culture, right? We have these programs. We're going to bring in all these doctors. We're going to show these junior high kids. We're going to show these high school. We're going to show them doctors. Cool. But when we stop there, listen to me on social media or in person. The problem becomes, as a young person who isn't in that circle, who isn't in that know, and I see this person in the white coat, I see this person big balling, succeeding. I want that, of course. That's something to aspire to. Oh my gosh, I want to be you. The problem is that seeing someone in that position, in many instances, what it leads a student to believe is that that person is actually far from them. That they see that person, but they see how, right? Oh my gosh, look how they're dressed amazingly. Look at how intelligent, how smart they are. I'm not that smart. Look at how they talk about that. And they don't necessarily see themselves in that position, and it becomes more of a disparaging thing than a hopeful thing. Additionally, when we see that, guys, there's a certain satisfaction, right? A certain satisfaction in seeing someone who looks like you live in the life you want. And what many students have fallen into is an escapism life, where they see people of color as physicians, and they look at their lives and they follow them on social media and they go meet up with them in conferences and they blah, blah, and they're living vicariously through these people and they're escaping to them. But the problem is they're so focused on those people's lives, people who already made it, they forget. They feel like, oh, if they made it, how many guys, truthfully, let's be serious. I want everyone to comment. How many of you guys have been at a conference and overheard someone say, oh my gosh, I follow you on social media, or oh my gosh, your speech was amazing. Oh my gosh, when I see you and how you made it, how you overcame, I feel like I made it. How many guys have ever heard someone say that? Please comment right now. Let me know I'm not alone. Have you ever heard someone say, man, seeing your success makes me feel like I've succeeded? How many of you guys have seen that? Okay, I see you guys. Thank you for commenting. Yes, you see it. And so what happens here is this false sense of achievement. You ain't a doctor. They're a doctor. You must put in the work. You must not live vicariously through them. You must not be like, oh, look, oh my gosh, look amazing, look what they're doing. But you're scrolling, you're chatting. But where is your working? You're escaping into their life, but what about fixing your own life? Right? And the ease of access. We're talking about, oh, I'm just gonna if they see me, they're gonna be me. But the problem is how many of you guys, when you get sad and depressed, and again, I see in the comment boxes, so I know it's true, people send it to my comment box. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Get to work. People will say, oh man, I was really stressed out today, so just going through your videos, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I'm just going through your videos. And I'm like, that's not what they're intended to do, guys. We shouldn't be escaping our lives and the work that we must do to make our lives better. We shouldn't be escaping to other people's lives who are great, who've already put in the work. You've got to put in that work. So these are the issues, guys. And I tried to quickly go through that. We're at 14 minutes already. But does that make sense to everybody? There's these problems. Can I quickly shift to how we're going to fix these? It's not hard. It's not complicated, but it is complicated and it is hard. Okay? We need massive action. There's been too much. Live action, baby, is right. There's been too much jibber jabber and talking. We got a committee together, right? We got a special panel. We got a special investigation. We're researching this. We're looking into this. We're discussing this. There's a lot of talk, and there isn't as much action as there can and should be. What I am here to promote is massive action. As students, I don't want you telling me what you're going to do. I want you showing me what you're going to do. I want action. Right? Like I always say, Marshawn Lloyd, about that action. Get about action. And so when it comes to increasing diversity, we've got to be less words, less discussion, and more action. And so how can we, as a system, as a society, as a medical, right, healthcare system, how can we create massive action? Well, it takes two big things. We're going to break them into subtopics. The first thing is massive investment. So it's two I's, massive investment. And the second thing is massive intervention. For massive investment, it comes in two forms. The first is in finances. We must make a serious, large financial commitment to increasing diversity. That commitment should also be long. So we should say, hey, we're going to set aside this big old pot of money for 20 years. Even if things don't go right in year one, I don't care about seeing results in year one. I want you to put things in place, and you have this money no matter what for 20 years, work it. Because then this would give everyone the opportunity to stop chasing short-term gains, short-term perceived wins, and give them the opportunity to really, really look at and say, what does it take? How should this money be allocated to really, really move the needle? Because there's so many people, I'm telling you, I know all these people in these circles. These grants are so short-lived, people are battling to show some gains in a short window to get the grant. But then what happens in 2 years or in 4 years? What happens to what do we care about? We care about these students not just getting in, we care about these students succeeding. We care about changing the number of physicians. So we've got to have massive financial investment. We also have to have a massive investment in terms of people. All these people don't have to be people of color, but we must have large groups of people on every single campus, involved in every single organization who are committed to diversity. We cannot continue to have the one diversity person model of action. How many of you guys have seen that? Where the medical school has one diversity leader. They're the champion of diversity. They're pushing everything through. Where we have one dean of diversity. We have one. It's bigger than one person. And the problematic nature of that leads to constant turnover in these diversity departments because there's only so much one person can shoulder trying to hold up a whole entire movement themselves. And so these people burn out and they flame out. It's the example, right? If you look at, let's do it this way. Can we do it this way? I just finished watching The Wire. That's why it's fresh in my mind. You may have ever seen The Wire? It's an old school HBO show. It's good. You should watch it. It's about drug dealing in Baltimore. It's awesome. And what's amazing is they talk about in this program about allocation of law enforcement. And if you want to clean up crime, if you want to fix crime, you need to put the most officers in the most troubled areas. If you don't do that, then crime will rise. It's obvious. Well, in education, if you have the most resource poor, most, right, socioeconomically disadvantaged students who don't have the networking, don't have the connections, don't have the historical education in their family, do you think that there are high resource utilizers or low resource utilizers? High resource utilizers, like insurance, right? You take a big pot of people in an insurance pool. You got to balance your risk out. Okay, who are the high utilizers? Got to balance them out with some people who aren't going to use them, 20-year-olds who are healthy. Well, in a diversity department, everyone's going to be high resource users because they don't have anyone else to turn to but that diversity office. When I was an undergrad, all the diversity kids, we used to all go hang out. It was the camp office, California Alliance for Minority Participation. All of us would be up in there, 40 deep. There'd be one couch. People on the floor, people on the table, everybody there. And the burden that puts, right? We had 2-3 figureheads. The burden that puts when you got 40 students for every one person who's a leader creates a problem, y'all. It's a burnout cycle. And so people constantly flip and change jobs, move out, and it's not sustainable. So we must invest in saying, no, we're not going to pay one person to head up diversity. We're going to pay 10 people to spend time thinking about, promoting, advocating, teaching, actually moving the needle for diversity. Because there's that strength in numbers that's going to build this up. With all those now, that investment, all this people, all this money. Now, what are they going to do? Not the stuff we've historically done. We're going to focus on intervention. Who knows? Who's ever seen the show Intervention? What is an intervention? If I were to ask you, what do I mean by saying I want massive intervention in healthcare? I want massive intervention in education. What am I talking about when I'm saying we have to invest in this intervention? What do you guys think I'm talking about? We can wait. I'm live action, y'all. If you are live action with me right now, like this video, we're live action on YouTube right now, this moment. This will go to the podcast after that. This is the Pre-Med Productivity Podcast. I'm Dr. Andre Pinesett. I'm the pre-med productivity expert, bringing you positivity, bringing you productivity. And today we're talking about diversity. No, Eddie, you're wrong. Eddie said, when I said massive intervention, I'm talking about radical change. No, you don't implement change. You create change. You craft change. Change is the outcome of the intervention. We need an intervention first. When I'm talking about intervention, it comes in two forms. I mean, we actually have to do something. We have to change things, not, right? Okay? Intervention. The first, so we're going to do two more I's. When I talk about intervention, here are the two things that are going to solve our diversity problem. The first is investing in infrastructure. Infrastructure. It is my pet peeve. There are a million, I kid you not, a million diversity programs. And they all rest in separate, tiny silos with no infrastructure. None. And I'm going to say this. Listen to me and listen to me good. Think about why businesses, think about universities. What is the infrastructure of a university? What is the infrastructure of a business? What's Apple's infrastructure? Right? What is a university without infrastructure? This is so important because we have to have a clear concept of what infrastructure is. In minority programs, there is no infrastructure. Infrastructure is the foundation, is the support, is all the stuff that will last. Infrastructure. This is the problem, and can we say it? Black Lives Matter. It's a movement. What the flippers is a movement? What's the infrastructure? Yes, Black Lives Matter, but what is the infrastructure to execute it? If I would say, I want to make t-shirts. Okay, sure. How? Where's your infrastructure? Where's your raw materials? Where's your factory to build it? Where's your factory workers? Where's your trucks to distribute it? Where is your infrastructure? In minority programs, there is zero Nathan infrastructure. It's willy-nilly, we'll do this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're going to get a bunch of kids, a bunch of pre-meds, a bunch of students. We're going to get them to come do free labor and serve on committees and run around and do this and organize this and teach other people. Oh, they're going to be mentors. They're going to host a workshop, blah, 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 share their experiences. Is that infrastructure? Let's take it a higher level. Okay, we're going to have this program, and we're going to have a bunch of current physicians who are physicians of colors. We're going to have them be mentors to undergraduate students. This will be great. Well, guys, how is that mentor supposed to be informed enough to inform their mentee about the difficult situations they're going through when they have no training in coaching, no training in mentoring? They have no tangible knowledge of the current admissions system. They have no tangible knowledge of learning. They have no tangible understanding of time management. They have no tangible network to hand the student to survive at their level. So where is the infrastructure? Does everybody know what I'm saying? We have to have infrastructure. We have to have concrete mechanisms for delivery of the goods. We have to have it. It can't be like, oh, we have these papers over here that we hand out, blah, blah. Where is the infrastructure? We have to invest in infrastructure if we're going to have interventions. Namely, we have to look at how we can leverage technology effectively to create infrastructure. I'll give you an example. You run a summer enrichment program. You have the kids there for 4 to 6 weeks. They're there 4 to 6 weeks. They didn't leave that program. Oh my gosh, something has come up now. It's not August anymore. I left the program. It's October. I've got midterms coming up, and I need help. I don't know what I'm doing. Where can I look? What can I turn to? There's no infrastructure. What if we had an online repository of all the information, of all the lectures, of all the contact numbers, of all the things? What if we had a place these students could go and be and exist? That's infrastructure. What if every year we didn't start from scratch with new curriculum? What if we added to that curriculum? What if we grew that curriculum? What if we expanded that curriculum? What if we spent this money to build an infrastructure of experts to serve these students who need expertise? What if we did that instead of playing amateur hour? What if we did that? We cannot be short-sighted in our goals and our aspirations, or you lose. Black Lives Matter as a movement failed. We can argue it if you want to. Did Black Lives Matter win or lose? Are the Trumpeteers still out here, right? Proud Boys still out here? Did Black Lives Matter, right? They painted the street, then what they do? They paved that crap right over a couple months later. What changed? What happened? There was no infrastructure. Everybody gassed up, running around, wearing them t-shirts. But it needs more. You can't make change off excitement. Change is made by infrastructure. And this is the exact argument. Remember, I had a video last year about Kanye West when he went on that rant about Jewish people and all this stuff. And everybody was missing the message because he said some things that were incorrect. They missed the message because the delivery and parts of it were wrong, right? Many people miss my message because my delivery is too raw and rough and this guy's, I'm not spitting rainbows. But the message he said is, we need, as Black people, infrastructure. He says Black people don't own none of this stuff. And until we own stuff, until we have infrastructure, we can't make the calls. We can't make difference. We need infrastructure. We gotta build it up. But again, the problem is lack of money and lack of longevity, so we're not able to build those pillars for generations. It's year here, year there. Gotta have infrastructure. As part of that infrastructure, the reason we need that infrastructure is to deliver the second I, which is instruction. We have to train these students. Listen to me now. We have to instruct these students, not when they're at the MCAT, not when they're applying, not when they're late in college. We have to instruct, inform, empower, educate these students in junior high, in high school, the summer before they start college, the first year of college. We've got to support them early. We need early instructional intervention. This is why they have the Head Start program, right? All those kind of things. We've got to start early, not teaching these students, like I just said, it's not about coursework, right? And one of the things that changed my life, if I can sidebar for a second, that made me the incredible person I am today, highly successful, achieving all of my goals, and I constantly set new ones, and I hit those, and I achieve those. The reason I'm able to be A, so confident in my ability to achieve, and B, I'm able to execute on that confidence and actually complete these things, is because my view of education is that education is everywhere, education is eternal, and so I'm constantly, never turn it off, I'm constantly looking for ways to educate myself, not just from classes. I haven't taken a class in who knows how long, but I'm educating myself every single day, reading books, learning from people, seeking out people who know more than me about a certain topic so that I can know more about that topic, so I can build and build and build and build and build and build my educatedness. I want to be highly educated. And so we must teach our students this, that education is not found necessarily just in your classes. That's where education may start, but education is everywhere. And there are all these experiences in our life that we can learn from, and we have to look at it as such, and we have to look for ways to instruct and teach these kids that, but then also then give them these opportunities to say, listen, education is not just about math or science, whatever, it's more than that. And the most important skill that we can teach you, the most important instruction, the most education we can give you is to teach you how to learn. You guys may know one of my favorite quotes: knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. Knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. In this modern era, if you are able to obtain information, if you're able to understand things, to take it in, to find your ability to learn and acquire information sets you free and creates, because we have all this information at our disposal, but it's your ability to sift through and find what you need and to take it and make it your own and then apply it in a real world sense. But so many people are never taught how to learn, how to study, how to acquire knowledge efficiently and effectively, how to retain that information. And as a result, yes, they're poor students in the classroom, but worse, they're poor students of life. They're poor users of life. They aren't problem solvers, right? They aren't able to take their experiential learning and apply it in novel environments. They're not able to have that. So we must teach these young kids how to learn, how to study. We must teach these kids about professionalism. I see so many of these programs focused on advocacy. We're going to teach these kids how to advocate. We're going to put together a community intervention plan. Screw that crap. Because it's not about that yet. You can't help others until you're capable of helping yourself. And many of these students can't even help themselves. I see Eddie's on here, and we were having this conversation. Eddie's in medical school. We were having this conversation. And he's like, man, he's black. And we're having lunch, and we're having this conversation. And he's so frustrated because he feels like, man, some of my classmates, these knuckleheads are making it look bad for us. They're complaining, they're advocating for all these things, and da. And he's like, no one's going to listen to you. And he's like, it's so true. It was like a moment we had there. And he's like, man, if you do well and you score well and you're an excellent student and you're a great clinician, people will listen to you. But no one wants to hear about you advocating about what's best for yourself, for other students, for other people, if you aren't succeeding. Because what it means is if you can't succeed, why would I listen to you tell me about how you're going to help others succeed? Doesn't make any sense. So we must first teach our students, first and foremost, how to help themselves, how to advocate for themselves, how to build their confidence, about mindset training, right? We got to teach them how to take tests. We got to teach them how to effectively network, how to be a professional. Teach them these things. Because these are the skills that are lifelong skills that will allow them to move and shake in all the places they need to do and to climb the ladder. That's the difference. We've got to shift our philosophy, guys. It's not hard. Massive investment in both the finances and people, massive intervention in infrastructure, right, and instruction. And I'm going to do another video to break down all this instructional stuff in terms of this intervention. I'll break down what this exactly is, but it was like too long for today. We're at 33 minutes already. But I hope you guys can understand. It takes us looking in the mirror and saying, what we've been doing doesn't work. And it sucks to admit that. I get it. There's people I know who are in diversity work. It's literally, they've been for 40 years. It's their life's work. And I kid you not, this is I can say this because you guys don't know who it is. I had a talk with one of my mentors who retired in the last couple of years. He worked in diversity education for over 40 years. And at his retirement thing, we're having a little conversation. And he's like, man, I just feel like I'm excited to be retiring. I'm excited to spend time with my grandkids and all stuff. He's like, but I just feel like, man, I wish we could have accomplished more. I gave it everything I had, but I feel like we should have accomplished so much more. And he goes, you have to pick up this mantle and you have to carry it. You have to go, you have to make this difference. And I was like, man, that's, interesting and whatever. But it's like, imagine that, spending 40 years doing something and be like, man, I didn't move the needle like I wanted to. And the truth is, right, the truth is in the pudding, we haven't moved the needle. And so we have to admit that what we've been doing don't work. We must rip it all down. And it ain't much to rip down because there ain't no infrastructure. And then we must build back a proper infrastructure using the money, using the people. And we must provide early intervention that's highly focused on life skills and instructing, not show, but teaching these kids how to be great. Do we understand? I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I got to go because I have my, all right, we talked about instruction, right? Infrastructure. I have a course, 5 Pillars of Studying Let's Get Better Grades, that teaches you how to be your own independent, confident student, right? That's infrastructure. And the instruction, we have live coaching, right? So we have live coaching right after this right now. So I got to hop on there with them. But that's what we're trying to do, guys. Got to level up. We've got to make that difference. We're going to be live every Wednesday. If you have a topic in mind or something you want to talk about, something that's fresh on your mind, a problem you're struggling with, you can email me. You can comment in the box. You can DM me. Send me stuff. Let me know, hey, listen, I'm struggling with this right now, Dr. Pinesett. Help me out. Because that's what it's about, guys. It's the only reason I'm here. Move you guys forward. Get you guys to your goals. This is something that means something to me. Because can I be honest with you guys again? Can we, right? We can talk, right? We're here. It's just me and you. It's wildly uncomfortable to be the only minority in the room. It is. So what we have to do, I've been the lone minority in rooms for many a time, and I hate seeing it, but I embrace that. But it means so much to me because I know that awkward, I know that uncomfortable, I know that the fears that come up being that only person. And so it truly means something to me to increase diversity, to push forward, to have students say, oh snap, it doesn't matter if I walk this path alone, because if I'm highly skilled, if I know how to study, if I know how to talk, if I know how to move in a room, if I'm better than these people, then it doesn't matter I'm the only black person here, because what they don't see blackness, they see greatness. And to take all this heart, you guys know me. Again, I walk the walk, talk the talk. If you guys have been in one of my keynotes, there's a shirt I wear a lot. It says greatness is here. Because what I want you guys as students to be is be so highly skilled, be so highly confident, and be so just great that when people see you, they don't see your skin color. They just see greatness in the room. That should be the goal. That's the aspiration. Is you should be like, man, I'm going to try to get so good that when I enter into a room, I forget I'm black. I'm just, what color are you? I'm great. Just outstanding. I got extraordinary coming out of my pores. I don't know how to shake it off. That's what we're aspiring to, guys. So take that to heart. How do we always end our talks, guys? No excuses. We're just going to dominate. No matter the color of your skin, guys. No, it's just an excuse. You can overcome. Know where you've been through. Educate yourself. Get informed. Become the expert, guys. Get highly skilled. And my goodness, what will happen? What will happen? Can I flip for a second? Look at me. Look at me. I'm showing you me. Look to me. And now, get instructed. Let me show you exactly how I did it. Get into a course. premedproductivity.com, y'all. I'm out. Later.
But stop making excuses.
That's it for another episode of the Pre-Med Productivity Podcast. Show your love by smashing the like button and commenting in the box below. Today is the day, guys. No more excuses, no more complaining. You're going to take your future into your own hands. You're going to dominate. You're going to be successful.